I've been asked recently about poking with the left hand. The idea behind poking is that it helps you to see shapes and confirm that you know the shapes of major scales and of chord types. For example, if you can poke C major in a random order, one octave, that's very useful. Do it in E flat. Can you play the notes of E flat in any order by doing this? This is called poking. And you can do it in one octave, over 2 octaves. The whole piano becomes that key or chord. Let's take C major 7. Just playing it how I want to. Let's go into a second octave. Just one finger. It's not about the... this is not a technical exercise for your fingers. This is a visualization exercise at the piano. So you can do chords and scales with this. But sometimes you have a problem with that. So we need to approach the problem with what I call the dissection philosophy, which is where you break down to the smallest component and build up from that. And some things you might be able to do very quickly, but eventually you'll encounter the level where it's becoming difficult. So let's start at the absolute bottom and get used to the left hand playing the notes chromatically. My C is being a bit weird, so I'll start on the C sharp. So it's not about speed, but you can put a metronome on if you want and just see if you can get faster and faster. So I'm just starting on the C sharp. And I'm just doing this just to get used to the idea of my left finger playing notes. You can't get more basic than that. You can start in smaller patterns if you want, I guess, just by alternating between 2 notes. I think you can probably manage to do this. You can try this with different fingers as well, switching midway through. We'll take it a bit further. So that's a nice way to start. Then you will try this with major scales. So let's take this scale of D, just in 1 octave. So this is on the way to poking, because the poking is really when you're breaking it up. So, which kind of means that the problem is not necessarily the technical ability, it's the fact that you don't really see the scale. So you should have the same problem with the right hand, but perhaps it is genuinely a technical problem. So we've done that. And then you want to try to break it up. And so now we see the scale of D. I'll start on a random note. What's going on in my head when I do this? I see the shape already. The whole piano becomes D major everywhere. I just see that everywhere. And random numbers are falling into my head. Not letters, numbers. So as I'm doing it, my brain is saying 6, 3, 4, 2, 7, 5, 3, 4, 2, 3. It's saying it just before I actually play the note. And because I know the numbers, the letter is secondary, but I still play the correct note. So many people learn scales with letters, and you shouldn't do that. You should learn it with number sequences, because it's just 1 to 7. And the point is that the letter A, for example, which is the 5th in D, is also the 2nd in G, the 3rd in F, the 4th in E, the 5th in D, the 6th in C, the major 7 in B flat. It's all the altered notes as well, sharp 5s and flat 9s and all the fancy stuff. So I don't see it as a letter A. I always see numbers when I'm playing. So that's why when I see this is 5, because I've established the key of D. And the whole piano, A, is 5. It's not A. So it's quite a nice way to just get used to doing this, like I say, chromatically, then go up a scale, and then just play around with the notes of a major scale like this, really poking it in 1 octave. When that's comfortable and you can really see the shape, you just duplicate the shape. So D to D, D to D, just going to duplicate the shape. It's not another bunch of notes, they're the same notes. The same, we're quite lucky on the piano, unlike a guitar. We have, 2 blacks, 3 blacks, 2 blacks. It's quite easy in this way for us. I'm just never going to play a wrong note, because the only notes I see, even with 2 hands, the only notes I see are D major. I can't possibly play an A flat because it's not in the key of D. So I'm never going to play this note or this note or this note or an F or a C, because they're not in the key of D. So that's one thing, of course, do it with the right hand as well. And another fun thing to do is to literally just play any note. I'll do chords after this, but it's to just play any note in one area, even if we start with C to E. I'm not thinking about I should play the C. I'll do it from F to B. And just get used to allowing your fingers to just play any notes in any order. See how this is part of the dissection philosophy. We're just breaking it down into small little bits. Not thinking about keys, scales, chords, note values. That's a nice thing to do. And then, of course, expand it, expand it, expand it. Then we'll take the chords, but start with major triads first. So you can do this chromatically. Again, I'm going to avoid the C because it will send a strong signal. But I'll start from D again. So poke first of all in order. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3. So once you can see that, try and add on the octave on top. I'm not mixing it around yet, so this is only kind of half poking. We'll add the F sharp on top and build up the chord as we go. So the next note is going to be the other A, and we'll add the D on top. So that should become quite visible to your mind, to your mind's eye, and at the piano. Now we'll start poking around. And I'm not thinking about root positions. I'm not thinking about inversions. Just playing the notes because they're on the piano, the whole piano. It doesn't matter where I'm playing. That is D. Let's make a slightly more complicated chord. Let's play a D minor, but with the 7 on top, the C. So you'll start with the triad, 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 3 being minor, of course. Then you have the C. I used to do this when I was, 15. I was poking around on the piano there in the practice room. Add the D again for the octave on top. Add the next F, A, C. You can start to move it around, I guess, on the way down, on the way up. Oh, ignore that. And then start poking it so it's really everywhere. And again, you can't play a wrong note because I can only see the F and the A and the C and the D. Everywhere. So that's a nice thing to do. And then to take it even further and challenge yourself even further, it's to play one chord type. You can go around the cycle of the fourths, or you can move chromatically and challenge yourself by switching between those as you go along. So let's just demonstrate it simply with a major chord. So we've done D. So let's just start on D, but I'm going to go up to E flat. So let's just say we're at the poking phase, like this. And some notes are going to overlap. Not in this one, I guess, because there's no A or D or E flat in this. But so some do overlap. If we were going from D to F, for example, the A is the third of F, so that would be in both of the chords. So sometimes there's an overlap. So playing the D, I'm going to E flat suddenly whenever I want to. I'm not going to start on the E flat. I'm going to maybe start on the B flat, which is a fifth of E flat. So let's do it now. There. Now I'm suddenly into the E flat one. And if somebody even shouted out, or you can just think of a random key, you can jump to that key as well. But I'll keep going up to E. Now. Up to F. So you just move around with certain chord types. So of course you can make that as complicated as you wish. Of course doing it with the right hand as well. And the final thing is to actually poke using both hands, which gives you a bit of a challenge. So it's just left, right, left, right. Let's just keep going. I'll play F major next, but I'm going to poke around this time. My eyes are kind of jumping a little bit to the notes, but they're not like focusing on one note. It's like my eyes are saying, oh, the F and the A and the C and the F and the Z, all the way up the piano. They are all available. So I'm not really thinking about it. They just light themselves up somehow to me. It just doesn't matter where I am on the piano, because the whole piano is the chord of F, in the key of F. just impossible to play a wrong note. And you'll just move up to F sharp. See that shape everywhere. Just poking around up to G. Make it a 7, put the F in it, just to add another note. So yeah, doing it like that. And again, I used to do this a lot when I was younger, and of course doing it in my mind as well. I'd do all of that I've just done, but like my mind's eye will just play the note instead. So on that G7 one, I'd be seeing, B, F, D, G, F, jump up to a G, up to the B, down to the D, down to a B, up to a G, F. I'd be doing the same thing in my mind. That's why now, and not just now, not 20 years later or 25 years later, but even then, major scales for me came very, very, very quickly because I was doing stuff like this. So in a few weeks, you'll have them all down. It's only 12 shapes, 7 notes in each, and when you know them forever. So hopefully this has helped in some way. You can personalize it by adding a rhythm, put the metronome on, do it, just see what speed is comfortable. Once you find your natural limit, that's nice. Try and push it by 10 or 20 beats per minute, and it will come very, very quickly. It's not as hard as it may seem in the beginning. Anyway, I hope that's been of use to you, and everything I've said, of course, can apply to the right hand, obviously. So there you go. As always, likes, comments, subscriptions are always welcome. I've got my video management website, Water Pianist, consider perhaps Patreon, and all my playlists, and I'll see you in the next video. Requests welcome. All the best. Bye for now.